Now, for live shows, professionals serving community, talkingalternative.com.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Secrets of the Sire. It's good to see everybody. It's good to see Dan T. Lawson, too, just chiming in as well, too. It's good to see our troll is back, Ficaleo, and he says he's disappointed that I'm here. We got to love this guy. He's our troll, but he's a loyal troll, which only helps our ratings, which is a good thing. No. Our most loyal fan is Espada Primera Stark, who is always there. And we just got XXX Erotica as well, too, just joined. So, I mean, that could only be good things. Want to welcome everyone to Secrets of the Sire. We do this every week. We talk comics, movies, TV, music, and pop culture every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern on Talking Alternative Broadcasting. You can go to talkingalternative.com. You can stream us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire. Our resident troll comes in from, what do you call, Periscope, which is at Michael_Dolce, which is me. I am your host. And we got two people in studio. We got great guys in the studio. We got Mark Torres and we got Hassan Godwin from It Came From the Radio.
Hello.
Hassan likes to be, live on camera all the time, right?
Yeah,
this
is
is
my favorite thing of all time.
That's your definitely favorite thing.
Jersey
Jedi
born on camera, just so you know.
Jersey Jedi just joined too. He is our Patreon exclusive, which we messed up the feed tonight somehow. So our apologies, Brian. I'm sorry you didn't get
Jersey
to.
Jedi.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's yes.
Nice.
So
It's
very good. So we're going to be talking a lot of things. We're going to talk Star Wars. We're going to talk Inhumans. We're going to talk my little Twitter spat with Nick Spencer. We're just gonna talk about all this kind of fun stuff. We're going to talk about how he'd like to see that dumb goatee punched off his face. I'm not sure which one. We all have them. So maybe is it like a triple punch? I'm not even sure. But hey, we love your participation.
We'll draw straws.
We love your participation and we love all this stuff. Don't forget this is a live call-in show, 877-480-4120. And just want to give a shout out to all of our patrons as well too. So if you go to michaeldolce.com, that's MichaelDolce. You have to play that back to get that right. But you can actually go straight to my Patreon page. Secrets of the Sire is brought to you by them. We have dedicated fans, Einar Peterson and Ashley Haikai. Our program director, Stephanie Dolce. Our executive producers, Steve Hovecki and Brian Phillips. And our Uber fan, which is my wife, Christina Dolce. So you gotta love that as well, too. All right, so we're gonna kick things off a little bit. Funny thing about this show, we actually had this really great conversation starting at 7:30. Whenever we have guests in studio, that always seems to happen. We just start talking, and then we're like, well shoot, we should have been doing this on the show. So I got into a little Twitter spat, and this is our only election talk we're going to talk. We're going to wrap this up because I'm kind of over the election now. I'm like, all right, I'm ready to move forward. I'm ready to just let's get back to
Out
some
of the fetal position.
Right. Let's get to some serious things like Star Wars, which actually matter.
Right,
things like the country. Like, who cares about the country, right? Like,
stuff.
that doesn't make a difference to me. Yes, Star Wars. Joe Mulvey chimes in. Yes, we are going to be chiming in from Star Wars as well too. We're definitely going to be talking about that. But yeah, no, Nick Spencer, who is the death threat Nick Spencer, as Mark Torres actually.
Death threat Nick Spencer.
He's not very happy with this election result, and did not take kindly to a discussion I was actually trying to have with him. It was a legit discussion. He basically said anyone who voted for Trump was a racist, and then I said to him, it was that kind of blanket, theology that
probably got him in office in the first
place. Right. It actually probably pissed off a number of people enough to where they kept quiet and that messed up the polls.
Maybe.
In which case he told me to F off. Now, the problem with him telling me to F off is he doesn't chime in on Periscope like Ficleone, which is our Trudeau guy. If he did it to me on Periscope, that means he's watching the show. That means he's a loyal viewer, and that's great. That's what we want to see. Instead, telling me to F off on Twitter, I like Nick Spencer too. I actually met him a bunch of times. A nice guy, great writer. Morning Glories is an excellent book. If you haven't checked that out, it's a really it's a great book. So I definitely and Ficleone, I agree. I hope you F off, but that's good. But you're here. See, this is the beautiful part.
Well done.
You are tuning in. You are actually, aside from Espada Primera Stark, who actually just enjoys the show, you are our most loyal viewer, which is the best part.
Of the show.
Yeah, it's the best part. So Rolling Stone article came out, and again, we're not a political show, and I'm not talking about the effect. I don't want to hear about who you voted for, what you think is going to happen. I'm talking about the cause, like how did this happen? And the Democratic Party's failure to keep Donald Trump out of the White House will go down as one of the all-time examples of insular arrogance, the almost universal failure among political pros to predict Trump's victory, where people who hailed from Rust Belt states like Michael Moore spoke to an astonishing cultural blindness. Those of us whose job it is to cover campaigns grew accustomed to treating the people as kind of a dumb animal whose behavior could sometimes be unpredictable, but in the end almost always did what it was told. And the whole time, the people whose intentions we were wondering so hard about were all around us, listening to themselves being talked about like some wild, illiterate beast.
Well, that's a bit much.
You think, well, I mean, this guy's a little over the top. He always is over the top, too.
Yeah, because I think he's overlooked. Well, I don't know. Never mind. Never mind that.
This is live radio, and this can't affect you in any way, shape, or form.
That's not what I mean. But I think one of the main problems was, from my perspective and the perspective of a lot of people I know, is that they just completely misread the demographics of the Democratic Party. Or the demographics of just the populace of America in the first place.
That's an amazing segue into something else he wrote. The party not only spent most of the past 2 years ignoring the warning signs of the Trump rebellion, but vilifying anyone around them who tried to point them out. It denounced all rumors of its creepy unpopularity as lies and bullied anyone who dared question its campaign strategy by calling them racists, sexists, and agents of Russia.
Well, okay.
I don't know about the agents of Russia part. I don't know anybody that got called out as an agent of Russia.
Steven Seagal.
Because I could get a movie deal off of that. And I've seen that. I've actually seen people vilify. I remember paying attention to it, and Nate Silver was doing his 538.
Yeah.
And basically around the time that the Comey sneak attack happened, which anybody who's been following the election already knows what that is. I'm not going to waste time going into it, but basically he started to backpedal in his prediction. He had Clinton maybe up to about like 90% or 85% probability that she was going to win, with Trump at like languishing somewhere to like 12 or something like that. And it started to skew a little bit, and Trump came up to about 30.
Yeah.
And he came up to 30. Now, everybody pay attention to that. 30 out of 100% was him saying, Trump could actually win. He's got angles to win. And I just remember him getting pilloried by, people on social media, on Facebook, and some of the other sites, like, oh, come on, you're just trying to make up you're trying to hedge your bets because you were so wrong about the primaries, because Nate Silver was wrong that Trump actually was the one who won the primary. So everyone was like, no, stop it, Nate. You're just trying to make yourself look good. You're just trying to save face, at the end. And they just completely did not give it any credence. Like, there was the possibility, even though it was only 30%.
Sure.
At 30%, they weren't giving him the benefit of the doubt. So
two funny things about that, right? I actually see, this is how we tie it all into comics. I was actually finally watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And we're going to talk about Inhumans a little bit later in the show,
how
too.
Bad Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is.
Oh, we'll definitely talk about that. It's got its moments. It's got its good
No, it
things.
doesn't.
It's got its bad things.
It has moments. As first
Well,
two
look, I
seasons.
haven't given up on it. Faithful viewer of the show, Jack O'Donnell and I, we watch it when we can get together. It's one of those like things where you playing around. Like this particular show, we don't care if we don't catch it live.
Right.
So
Brave
let's
souls.
at least we'll do it as like a bro hanging out thing,
Yeah.
and we'll drink some beer and watch
Fair
it.
enough. Fair enough.
But we finally are at the tail end of last season, and it keeps getting interrupted by the primaries, and so we keep watching. It was like one of these scary things. We're like watching, and it looks like Donald Trump is going to win New Hampshire, and it looks like, and we're like, wow, this is like crazy that we're actually watching it. We just
Right.
happen to be
In real
watching it
time.
6 months later, and
Yeah.
we're like, oh yeah, look at that, what he did there. The other thing too, and I like to bring this up too, again tying it into the comic book universe though. For the most part, my social media feeds have all been like doom and gloom, but then you have like the Ethan Van Sciver and you have like Billy Tucci, who are like the only right wing. I don't know how they survive as comic book artists.
Probably because they don't, espouse their beliefs.
Oh no!
all that much.
Have you seen Ethan Van Sciver's? No, he espouses his
Really?
his-
Okay.
And you know what? I give him a ton of credit. Like there's nothing about it. Like I'm sitting there going, man, that guy is not afraid to say what he thinks.
That's probably why.
And he's not. Look, he in no way, shape, or form is he racist. He obviously voted for Trump. He said he voted for Trump. But he's not like a blanket racist. But again, according to like the Nick Spencers of the world, anybody who voted for Trump is a racist. No, we're not even. Yeah, no. See, if you got the exclusive Google Hangout, if you're a patron, you would have gotten wind of our conversation back.
I don't think that. I think I agree 100% with what it seemed to be your attitude about that is that to outwardly just label people as racist and sexist or whatever. That's first of all, that's inaccurate. That's impossible, statistically impossible. It's injudicious. It's just false. However, my attitude about that is that you have to take responsibility for
Oh, absolutely.
what the man says and what the man does.
Sure.
And here's the interesting aspect of that is that people just kind of tack on well, I know he's this, but yeah, I know why you're laughing, but I know he's this, but.
That's an
But it's
agreeing
okay.
laugh, though. It's an agreeing laugh.
But he said some terrible things. But however, and like for a lot of people, and then there's no empathy.
Do you know
because
what-
a lot of people don't realize there's no bot after that.
Do you know what it
for
reminded me
many
of, though?
people.
It actually reminded me of that Simpsons episode where Sideshow Bob is running for mayor of the town of Springfield, and Homer gets in the election booth, and he's in the balloting box, and he looks at the ballot, and he goes, "Well, I'm not for his Bart killing policy, but I am for his Selma killing policy," and he votes for Sideshow Bob.
Yeah, and there it is, and so you just and that's the divide. If you can say, well, he's a racist, but
Yeah.
then you are another demographic of people,
Right.
Right. And the problem is the demographic that doesn't have a but.
Yeah.
As weird as that sounds, one T,
people.
but with one T,
The buttless people.
BUT singular. The demographic that cannot afford an alternative.
Right.
They're like, okay, fair enough, guys, but you got to understand. Because I remember when we were all talking about this before the election in the first place, and people were like, "Wow, Hillary's this and that, and Trump's a clown. He's never going to win. This is all Hillary's got this sewn up. He's just a clown." As you remember, at least one conversation I had.
That's never going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
And I'm like,
happen.
well,
Nah.
we're not going to take the chance that it does happen. We don't want to take the chance that it does happen.
Sure.
Right? In and of itself.
didn't
Now, I reveal exactly where on the demographic I fall. Fine. But
That's okay.
yeah, well,
Look,
I usually like to keep that.
people can have rational discussions when it comes to it.
Sometimes.
I'm gonna say this instead. And Joe Mulvey actually just tweeted in: the election show needs to be a 6-hour show with 2 cases of beer and a bottle of tequila. I'll raise you a bottle of Jack Daniels on that as well.
We could
too.
just do that without the show, though.
Right. No, this is true too.
Because it's
actually.
my
This is true.
birthday, and I just want to watch television. And
Well, look
drink
at this.
a
It's
lot of
Hassan's
alcohol.
birthday. It was my birthday yesterday.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Mark and Sam have birthdays.
Yeah, they do.
This is
I've been
All right.
told.
So we're gonna do this. We're gonna actually, because we got to go to commercial break.
Yeah.
when we come back, we're going to actually
Skip
talk
out
about
of this.
Star Wars.
Yeah,
We're
let's
going to talk about Star Wars because that's what everyone's coming in here to talk
Yeah,
about.
nobody wants to
With the
talk
exception of Fika Leone, who just wants to troll us, and he's
Yeah.
awesome. But he says I love you, and that's good. So
Yeah,
we win over the
hedging his
haters.
bets now.
If
He's
we
switching
can
over.
win over Fika Leone, then I need to invite Nick Spencer on because we can win him over too.
We can do that.
All right, when we come back, Rogue One, is too much Star Wars a good thing or a bad thing? We're going to talk about that next.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Hello, I'm JC.
I'm Joan, and welcome to 21st Century Entrepreneur.
We bring education,
Insight,
knowledge,
awareness,
trouble
craziness, and fun,
for you, the entrepreneur who's looking to build your business.
and your community. Listen every Friday from noon to 1 Eastern on talkradio.nyc. And you can tweet us at 21st CE Radio or Talk Alternative.
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
Welcome back.
Man, that
we are
music's
back.
so familiar.
Oh, it's very good stuff too. This is Secrets of the Sire. We just had someone on Periscope ask, "There's ads on a Periscope feed?" And said it was fancy. First of all, which Miss Pumpkin, we thank you. We are pretty fancy, but no, we're actually a live radio show. We do this every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. We talk comics, movies, TV, pop culture. We do it on the Talking Alternative Broadcast Network. It's talkingalternative.com. And we have in studio today, we have Hassan Godwin and Mark Torres from It Came From the Radio, which is a syndicated radio show. I'll flip those guys on in the feed as well. It makes for great radio whenever I talk to the feed. There's no question about it. But they're a syndicated radio show airing weekday nights on WARY 88.1 FM, Thursdays 4 p.m. Eastern on BeyondTheDawnStudios.com or on demand on iHeartRadio. So you can grab them. They basically, we kind of all talk about the same thing. I'm going to burp into the mic because that's the kind of professionalism that I have here. But yeah, so that is essentially what we do and what we are. So
Except no politics or religion on our show.
That
no,
was too bad.
and that's why your ratings are not as high as
yeah,
mine.
it's
Clearly,
obviously.
You know.
Clearly.
That is it.
Joe
Every
Mo-
now and then I've skewed us to some kind
Charlie
of...
tries to do it too.
Yeah.
Joel Movie tweeted in, "Happy birthday, fellas. It was Hassan's birthday. It was my birthday yesterday. Who's up for some matching Nick Spencer tats?" I think that's without a doubt. We were talking last segment about Nick Spencer. We're going to move on from Nick Spencer. He told me to F off on Twitter. I actually considered him a friend because we've actually worked together. Although my Nick Spencer story is always one of jealousy, insane jealousy. And when I had an image book out at the same time he had an image book out, and all I heard was from our publisher Jim Valentino was, "You got to be more like Nick Spencer. Look at all the interviews he's doing. Look at this and look at that." And when we finally got to San Diego and met Valentino and Kristen Simon, our editor, and we're like, "How badly is he outselling us?" And they're like, "Oh no, you sold like 4 times as many copies as him, but he's getting more press." And he ended up getting his movie optioned. Never got made.
Wow.
But he made. There's some rumored.
That's annoying.
There's some rumored. Yeah.
That's annoying.
So we hello from Norway. We have people coming on from everywhere. I hope that Nick Spencer will come on the show at some point, which he never will.
He's
but-
got to clear the air.
Well,
So he will.
I would think so. But we are going to talk about Star Wars, even though Miss Pumpkin doesn't want to talk about Star Wars. But Joe Mulvey
Miss Pumpkin.
does want to talk about Star Wars, and I
Hello,
think that's
Joe.
a good thing. Joe Mulvey's a really good artist as well, too. I don't know if you've seen any of that stuff. Say hey to Norway. We will say hey to
Hey,
Norway.
Norway.
We are anybody chiming in on Periscope. We are a live radio show, so this is going
So
on the
chime
airways
back
as
in.
well. You guys can call in though too. This is a call-in show. Fika Leone threatens to call in every week. He never does, so maybe he will. 877-480-4120. chime in. We're going to start talking Star Wars now. Hassan is a big Star Wars fan. Mark is a
Star Wars
he is the
fan.
yes. Anybody who knows Hassan knows he is the Star Wars guy. So I open with the question: is too much Star Wars a good thing or a bad thing?
Bad thing.
And I agree with you. Now, why do we say that?
Listen, the story in and of itself, no one can sustain that kind of level of intricacy for 20 movies or whatever Disney is planning to do, and we've already seen the dilution of the formula with The Force Awakens. I actually do have higher hopes for Rogue One.
Yeah.
It looks a lot more interesting. It looks
Are
like
you watching South Park at all this season?
No,
Is
I
anybody
don't
a
watch South
fan?
Park.
I haven't South Park.
You
I've not
should.
seen this season yet.
Oh, well, last season was their best season I think ever, and this season is kind of
with the
picking up
ad
where it
girl
is.
and
But their
with
entire
some-
season,
yeah.
Hassan, is that the new Star like they actually equated. See how we tie this in full circle?
Nicely done.
They equated the election with the new Star Wars and how people are voting for Trump because they want to feel nostalgic, and people are liking the new Star Wars because they want to feel nostalgic for the old Star Wars.
Right.
I don't have a problem with the new Star Wars though. J.J. Abrams.
What's wrong with you?
Well, I know, right? It's terrible. I'm like a glass half full guy, and
Yeah,
there's no place
that's
in the internet.
annoying.
There's no place in the internet for me. But
There
no,
really isn't.
The reason I like the new Star Wars is because J.J. Abrams set out to basically recreate the first one, because to wipe the bad taste out of our mouth from the prequels.
All right,
get
all
us-
right, wait. All right,
Okay.
I'm gonna stop right there.
Go for it.
I'm gonna take a page out of Hassan's book.
Okay.
We actually
Not
had
that many pages in the first place.
a little dispute about this on our Facebook page. I was saying how the movie Creed and The Force Awakens were basically the same movie.
Yes.
Seventh in the series, old handing it over to the new, recreation of the original story. But Creed was done so much better. The acting, the feel, the heart, way better. Star Wars. Now, this
Well, wait.
guy-
Now, could that be the reason? I mean, is it that it's a space fantasy saga versus a gritty? You know, I mean, the original Rocky got nominated. I mean, not that the original Star Wars didn't get nominated for an Oscar, but not for acting, not for storytelling, not for anything like that. I mean, the original, Rock. I mean, I think.
Why can't you make a good sci-fi adventure with heart? They do have them out there.
Sure.
You have all this money being put into this project. Why can't you give it heart? Because it was a cookie cutter movie made for the masses, please everybody. But I kept on saying the discussion was, I kept on every time I mentioned anything about Star Wars, I kept on putting the hashtag Creed was better. Creed was
Okay.
better. And this guy was like, why are you always, bashing Star Wars? I'm like, well, I'm not really bashing. I'm just saying that Creed was body.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Yeah,
there
we're
you go.
back. We're
I was
back.
saying,
Live radio.
I was saying that it was a better movie because blah 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 blah, and we kept on going back and forth. And I was like, "Hey Hassan, you're the Star Wars guy. Why don't you jump in on this?" And Hassan, in his infinite
There
wisdom,
we go.
threw out a clip
Okay.
of people's reactions from The Phantom Menace. And they were all going, this is the greatest movie ever. Star Wars is back. This is super. We love this. We love that. We love this. Because Hassan's
1999.
point was that
It was a crazy time back then.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Hassan's-
That's what was the world. The world.
The
was
world
wrong.
was just
right.
Yeah, it
okay.
was, there was like that whole tech bubble. We didn't know what was going on.
Hassan's point was that when it came out, everybody just ran for it. And then once it settles in, then people are going to be like, well, maybe it wasn't as good. It happened a lot faster, I think, on The Force Awakens than it did with the other three. And I saw the first movie again, The Phantom Menace. I'm like, it wasn't as bad as I rememred it being.
We'll
I already know
we'll do
Dulce's
two things.
feelings on
We'll
the
do two things on
prequels.
this. Well, that's because we used to work together. That's a whole different story. No, the original, there was a version that you can actually look up on YouTube of Phantom Menace with just Jar Jar cut out, and they're like, not a bad movie actually. Not a great movie though. You're talking about heart though. I mean, if you're comparing Phantom Menace to Force Awakens,
Here's
I'm just
I
saying
know you're not,
the fan reaction.
but I'm just saying that I think that there's, there is legitimate characters in Force Awakens.
let me clarify because a lot of time and the argument works both ways. The argument works absolutely both ways. And when you're talking about acting, you're talking about some writing and stuff like that, certain executions of things. You can definitely say that the Force Awakens was a superior product to the prequels.
Absolutely.
However, if your focal point into Star Wars isn't necessarily that level of execution, if it's not acting, if it's not explosions and interstellar special effects, although and also that argument is a null and void argument of the the Force Awakens having better special effects than the prequels. Like, yeah, well, it's 10 years later.
Sure.
There's a decade's worth of advancement in, so naturally, yes, it's going to have better special effects. It's like comparing De Laurentiis'
but you know what, special
King
effects
Kong
wise
to the 1930s.
Right. But
King
you know what's
Kong.
great about the special effects though in Force Awakens though? I mean, everything he went back to an earthier tone.
Right, if that's what you're interested in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but I think it appeals to everyone.
Well, if we're talking about here's the thing. The problem with The Force Awakens is that there are no ideas in that movie.
Sure.
And
it relies on the past.
Star Wars from 1977 all the way up to 2005 was an idea machine. There were ideas. It was brimming with ideas, new perspectives, new ways of looking at old tropes.
Sure.
There were new planets, new ships, every movie had some kind of new thing, some kind of thing that you've never seen before.
Sure.
And they use it so much to the point where they actually coined the phrase, we've done this, which you've never seen before, and we've done that, which you've never seen before.
Sure.
It actually became nauseating after a while. And this, I think what it did for me, what The Force Awakens did for me was it made me appreciate that the prequels were not executed well at all, but they were chock full of ideas that expanded or broadened Star Wars in and of itself. And The Force Awakens is an enormous step backwards, while it makes you think that it's a recorrect or it's a step forward. And then on top of that, the story in and of itself is terrible.
But I want to throw this in there as one of the arguments we always have. Even though I'm on his side, it made $1 billion, so they must have done something right.
All right, so we're actually talking about Rogue One, but we're also talking about Force Awakens. We had a question from Assassin Blue, was how is Rogue One related to Star Wars? Rogue One is going to fit nicely, supposedly, in between episodes 3 and episodes 4 of Star Wars. It's going to be the hunt for the plans of the Death Star, which is what we heard Leia in the first, okay. That's the one thing with the prequels.
The fourth movie.
It's the fourth movie, but it's the first movie. Basically saying a lot of good, people died to get these plans.
I actually said that in the third, in the sixth movie.
Was it Return of the Jedi?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah. They never said anything about who the
Wait a
people
minute,
who collected
wait.
the plans.
So
yeah, many Boffins died to bring us this information. Was Mon Mothma in?
No. I'm with you with that. I'm with you with that. But I thought this is fitting in between episodes 3 and 4, though, isn't it?
It is fitting in. But you're saying that Leia said that many people.
Oh, I
died.
got you. So she never said that. No. Okay, I got you. So yes, no, that's good. That's good. Okay, so Joe Mulvey actually chimed in. Do you feel better having Disney, who's already got a handle on multiple? Wait, you gotta let him finish.
I know where he's going.
Who has got a handle on multiple movies within a. See, now you just messed me all up. Do you feel better having Disney, who's already got a handle on multiple movies within a franchise, in control of Star Wars than any other company?
No.
What other company would you rather? What other studio would you rather see?
I'd rather, to be honest with you, and this is an unpopular answer, I'd rather it ended with Episode 6.
I don't disagree with that at all. Actually, I think that's it's never going to happen. But
I think tacking on more is a money grab, and I think inferior contributors are now in control of a story that is that is an American icon.
Sure. Now, so we had one of our Periscope people asking again, is anyone from Force Awakens in Rogue One? And obviously not, because the timelines are going to be separate.
It's about 40 years.
It's going to be 40 years different. But you know what? The person actually brings up a good point, though, and you were actually talking about this. What are people's entrance points into Star Wars now? Force Awakens, whether or not you thought it had heart, whether or not it was and is an entrance point
for an entire generation of people.
Yep.
And I mean, you have people that are now. I mean, think about it. 1997 was when Phantom Menace came out.
Well,
we're talking 20. This is the next generation of fans who are into Star Wars, and that next generation.
I think it
was it 99? I thought it was 90. No,
it's 1999.
I don't know. Yeah, you're probably.
Star Wars guy.
Yeah, but no, because then what year was Episode 3?
Phantom Menace came out about a couple of months after Columbine, 1999.
I don't think you're right.
He's the Star Wars Wars.
No, I know. I'm with you on that. He's the Star Wars guy, but I feel like it was maybe 1997, but it could have been 99. But either way, it's almost we're talking about at least 15 years, at least 15-year difference now between here. So, we have Gabe Fear Makoso just joined our Facebook stream.
Nah, I don't know who that is.
Yeah. Assassin No Blue Ass. Is it a long movie? I have no idea. It hasn't come out yet, but all right.
Probably 2 hours.
We're going to talk a little bit. We're going to actually talk about Rogue One when we come back from commercial. Again, this is Secrets of the Sire. This is comics, movies, TV, pop culture. We do this every week on Talking Alternative Broadcasting. When we come back.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Hi, this is Rob Kay.
And I'm Callie Alpert.
And we're hosts of The Rob and Callie Show. Are you looking for a show that talks about real stuff like life, love, the pursuit of being yourself?
Then you have come to the right place because we cover topics ranging from chivalry to gratitude to your relationship with money and everything in between.
So listen to us on The Rob and Callie Show Tuesdays, 8 to 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on talkradio.nyc.
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire.
Why didn't this band go anywhere, man? Whatever happened to these guys?
Oh,
These
man.
guys were
Well,
awesome.
we got a singer and a bass player that would always still have to play those songs. But and that's actually why Hassan actually knows my my political views already, because that song "Command the Room," which we just talked about, was my whole. It doesn't matter who's in charge. Whoever's in charge becomes an asshole. Essentially, it doesn't matter what side you're on. But anyway, we're not talking politics anymore. We're wrapping up the election talk. We're talking about Star Wars. We're talking about Rogue One specifically, which takes place 40 years before Force Awakens, which takes place in between episodes 3 and 4, which takes place episode 1, by the way, was 1999, which I was correct as always, which is always good. I mean, Hassan kept saying 1997, and I said 1999.
Wait a minute.
That's good stuff. Gabe,
I want to
it's me, Gabe. Fear Makoso.
It's his
Fear
show.
Moscow. I'm so bad at pronouncing names. Fear Moscow. I know. But I'm looking at it on screen, and I'm looking at you guys.
As I call them.
It's me, Gabe. Why is Hassan wearing sunglasses? And we had Ficleone ask the same question, but he's our troll, so he said it in a much ruder way, that he would like to punch the sunglasses off you because you're not a celebrity.
I'd like him to come here and try to punch the sunglasses off. Let's get that happening.
I keep encouraging you to call in.
Punches.
I think the call-in part would be great.
Let him do it.
So what I've learned from this talk so far, though, is that we have to talk about Star Wars every single week because we have a lot more interaction than we normally do. We usually have our resident troll on the live broadcast. Now we do very well with the restreams. Don't get me wrong, and people seem to enjoy the show. But phone number is 877-480. 4120 for anybody that wants to chime in. But all right, we're talking Rogue One now. And the question I started out with, though, was, is too much Star Wars a good thing or a bad thing? And the Rogue One,
no.
Well, I mean, I give Disney credit,
yes.
and Joe Mulvey, one of our listeners, actually chimed in, too. I mean, I give Disney credit for the fact that, that they're not, it's not like they're bombarding us with a new Rogue One every time.
They're going to make Star Wars movies until the moon learns how to talk.
Well, I mean, that's a good thing, though. I mean,
No.
I think if you do it the right way, in which case it's not the worst thing in the world.
One of the things that is a theme on our show, it came from the radio, is that sometimes it's better to have something that has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Because if you keep on going, eventually you're going to run out of stories. You're going to keep on stretching. It's just going to get worse and worse by keeping it going. You lose something out of that.
Yeah.
Beginning, middle, end. That's how it should be.
All right. Well, we have a caller, which is. No, he dropped. He gave. No, he gave up. He gave up. Oh, it's too bad.
Who was it?
I was making a
It was our troll. Our troll. He was going to call in. I don't know what happened.
Tell him to call again.
I know.
Trolls can only use phone once, huh? Did he
They
get his
only
mom the
allow
dial? Did he get his
one
mom the dial?
call
Did she
in
walk? She left the
jail.
room.
They only allow one phone call in prison.
Well, that's actually a good point, which is very true, and I actually feel pretty honored that he would, use that one call for us, which is
no
always
lawyer.
Good. But no, we encourage anybody to call in and everybody to call in and talk about it. But no, I mean, I know what you're saying. It's diluting the product, but. Look, at the end of the day, it's going to happen, right? I mean, because there's gold in them
logic,
right? No.
I don't get that logic. I don't get that. Well, it's just going to happen, so don't have an opinion about it.
There's gold in them Nar Hills, right? I mean, there's nothing that's going to stop them. But the whole thing
is a money grab. Just because you're going to make money off it is not a good reason to
Should
do
we
it.
keep on
first of all,
having
let's make this
movies?
very clear. Let's make this very clear. I am not making any money off. That's the first thing. I agree with you in a sense too, though, because if they just bombarded us year after year after year with a continuation of the storyline, eventually it's gonna you're gonna see fatigue. I see that in the Marvel movies right now. I see that in what DC's trying to do, which they're putting out like 3 movies a month, which I think is not the way to go. I think if they do it in a way though that appeals to kind of what you were saying, Hassan, though, giving us something new. Like, let's talk about the Han Solo movie, which is always a strange thing to say because I have to say Solo twice, but.
Why?
Do we want to see? I mean,
no.
So you don't want to see any of those adventures?
I'm sure it will yield interesting things. I'm sure interesting things will happen. Do they need to happen? No.
You mean like Young Indiana Jones Chronicles?
Huh?
How many people watched that show?
The what?
The Indiana Jones Chronicles? Yeah. No, I hear you on that.
And how the Young Indiana Jones is almost a notorious footnote in the Indiana Jones franchise. Sure. So.
But that's a weekly serialized
doesn't matter.
show.
You don't need it.
Format matters, right? Let me ask you this question: when you see the Imperial Walkers storming a beach, when you see the TIE fighters, don't you get a chill? I mean, don't you get a little like nostalgic and go, "This is really cool"? Because I do. I definitely do when I see it. No. But the son has no soul. He's wearing sunglasses inside.
Is that what it's for? Is a magic trick. Basically, you're dangling little props saying, "Oh, that's cool. Hey, look at this," while all this other crap is flowing by you.
Should there have been the first 3 Star Wars movies? The first 3 should the prequels have existed in your world, or should they have stopped at the 4, 5, and 6?
No, the prequels can exist in
a better form.
But why are the prequels fine? Is it because Lucas is in charge of it then?
It's his story. If he's the writer, if he's the author, then if he thinks that of those chapters were necessary for the full effect of his narrative, then that's fine.
Yeah.
I am an apologist. I am a prequel apologist, and I admit that. I don't mind them. I think that they are flawed, but I don't mind them. I think the originals are flawed, and I will say that to any purist who has who gets in my face about it. But I still love them. Now the thing is, this is the hardest thing to explain. If you care about characters. If you care about like the perils of the characters, whatever characters are in the story, then that is pretty much all you're there for. It's like, I want to see how this plays out. I want to see how this progresses. I thought it was very clever, even though we knew the ending of the prequels. It's like, well, I know what happens, but I don't quite know how it happens. Same what they're going to do with Rogue One.
Okay.
It's like, well, I know they get the Death Star plans. I don't know how it happens. I don't know why
you just spoiled Rogue One.
I don't know why we never see these characters again.
Well, yeah, that did, yeah. Because many Boffins died.
Yeah, that's the 3rd one, or the 6th one, depending on.
See that's the problem with prequels.
Well, now it's going to be the 7th one because this little side 6 in between.
No.
Well, okay,
it's a Star Wars story. It's not an episode.
This leads to a very good question too. How much Darth Vader are we going to see in Rogue One? Because my belief is they gave us all the Darth Vader already in the cameos, and that to me is dangling. I don't think he's going to have a major role.
I'm sure he's going to have like a couple of lines and stuff like that. I'm sure. I understand that James L. Jones was involved with the project, and they've given him a couple of lines in. He's had
not like Mark Hamill.
But that's the thing. I how involved could he be, considering the fact that, like you said, I mean, he basically, when Episode 4 starts, there's no mention of this. Obviously, look, they in 1977, George Lucas is not thinking about a movie that's going to be made.
George Lucas knew everything
40
according to
years
George
later.
Lucas.
Well, yeah, I guess, but he's out of it now. He knew when to get out as well, too. But if you're trying to sew that story in, then there's got to be no involvement from Darth Vader in how everything kind of transpires, in my mind. Because otherwise, the character doesn't ring true now. Now, all of a sudden, you're threatening the sacred original trilogy if you don't, if all of a sudden Darth Vader does something that you've never seen him do before, and then he never does it again. Story-wise, you're ruining. You're essentially, risking that. So they're not going to risk doing that.
The Clone Wars TV show, the animated series. He was there. He was doing stuff. So whatever.
No, you mean the Rebels?
Yes, Star Wars Rebels.
Star Wars Rebels, yeah.
Yes.
Right, but not in.
Showed up. He showed up, and he did stuff.
Does that really count though?
I
know it's in quote. Yeah. But as Joe Mulvey points out, they can just reboot this anytime they want to. I mean, at one point all the novels, at one point the novels were canon too.
And then what's the point?
Right. But this is Disney controlled.
Uh-huh.
Star Wars Rebels is Disney controlled. Disney said this is how it's going to be. They're making big bag of money. Why would they change stuff to help them not make as much big
10
bag
years
of
from
money?
now, they're going to find another way to make another big bag of money. And
I like money.
they're going to,
I like money.
If it's money versus art, if we're going to discuss whether something should happen or whatever, we
don't have the control.
If the argument is always going to skew into, but it makes money, then that's always going to be that's always going to be the trumping point.
Oh, I see. I like what you did there.
You go on.
I like how you phrased that.
Yes.
It's the Trump.
Yeah.
See, look at that. It's like you've been on the radio before or something.
No,
all right, we are talking to the fine folks from It Came From the Radio. That's Hassan Godwin, who's also the bass player in a band that we were in that plays all the music that you hear, which is awesome, and Mark Torres as well. We do this every week, by the way. It's the Secrets of the Sire. We talk movies, comics. Well, these two don't, but these are my guests for the day. But yeah, we do talk. We are talking Rogue One. So is there, look, I'm going to direct this toward Mark because I already know the answer with Hassan. Is there any optimism for Rogue One?
There's always a chance it'll be good.
I only directed toward you because there's no optimism in Hassan, period. Is there any optimism that you're waking up tomorrow? No optimism.
We do not know. We just don't know.
There's always a chance it'll be good. There's always a chance it'll be entertaining. Just because it's entertaining doesn't mean that it's good.
How would you define good? What is the measuring stick for good?
A good movie for me is something with interesting characters.
Okay.
Engaging
which we seem
story,
to have. We have a compelling story.
And a satisfying resolution.
We didn't.
I think
was
Disney
a good story to me.
I think Disney should be doing more stories like Rogue One. I think the adding on to the main Skywalker episodes is the mistake. I think they should be doing more movies like this, more of the peripheral, more of the ancillary characters, stuff that's going on the outside. The mistake, I think, and it's not a mistake because I'm sure it'll make a ton of money, is again the main antagonist of the main MacGuffin is yet again the Death Star. So we just cannot get away from that. We had the Death Star in Episode 4, Death Star Episode 6, bigger Death Star in The Force Awakens, and now the very next Star Wars movie, we got the Death Star again.
Right.
So it's like we can't really seem to get away from that.
I was rewatching it was on the Family Guy spoofs, and the Emperor brings Stewie, and he's just like, hey, we rebuilt this thing. We didn't leave like a gaping hole so they could blow this thing up again. And Stewie's like, oh no, why would that happen? I don't think we did. No, I don't think we did. Look, of course you could pick apart every last thing, but I would sit there and say,
well, you want to discuss it.
No.
That's
well,
what happens.
Not really
we do have to fill another 20 minutes here, so I guess we'll keep. No, I think it was great. No, I guess talking about the definition of what makes a good movie, for me, what will make a good movie, and I like what you said, doing more of these little vignettes, doing things that we haven't seen before, I think is a great way to do it. But I think the Han Solo movie, which again, I have to figure out a better way to phrase that. I think the Han Solo spin-off movie could be good as well, too, because it's going to offer something that we've never seen before. It's going to offer something that,
maybe,
kind of adds to it. But I will say that all right, let me ask you a question though before we go to commercial break, because then we're going to talk about Marvel's Inhumans when we come back. were you a fan of the novels? Were you a fan of the canon that came after?
Not really. I didn't like the expanded universe.
Okay.
I wasn't interested in most of that.
But do you consider it a valid take on what ends up happening?
I did until they decided that it didn't.
But they're gonna mine that for what they're doing in 7, 8, and 9. So to me, I don't mind that they continue it. I don't mind that they're gonna actually do the 7, 8, 9 as long as they mine from stuff that's already kind of worked and been worked before.
Here's I'll be real quick. The problem is we're never going to get an outrageous Star Wars movie again because they're always going to be keeping within the tenets of the nostalgia aspect of it so they can make sure it sells. And because no one amongst them was the originator.
Sure.
They don't know how far they can push the envelope where it will make them the money that they will spend in order to make it in the first place.
I disagree, but we'll talk about it when we come back.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Are you into comics, movies, and pop culture at large? What about music and TV? Then you're in for a treat. This is Michael Dolce, your host on TalkingAlternative.com. I've been professionally writing comic books, screenplays, and music articles for almost 15 years. Catch my show, Secrets of the Sire, at its new primetime slot, Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and get the inside scoop on the pop culture universe you love to talk about. For more info, go to secretsofthesire.com.
TalkingAlternative.com.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. We talk comics, movies, TV, sometimes music, and pop culture. If you like the music stuff, go to my Patreon page, michaeldolce.com. I post interviews. I just interviewed Letters to Cleo, if you're a big 90s alternative fan. Got some interviews with Cam coming up. Cam, she's a country music star, which, not my cup of tea, but it was actually a cool interview regardless. That's where we kind of segregate all the music stuff, too. But if you like the music on the show, go check out my SoundCloud page, soundcloud.com/Secrets of the Sire. I posted all 4 of the tracks that we use on the songs as well too. My guests today, Hassan Godwin and Mark Torres from It Came From the Radio. Hassan also actually play bass on those songs. I actually sing, but you don't hear me, and that's okay because you hear me enough as it is. We were talking Star Wars, and we were talking about whether saturation is too much Star Wars is a good or bad thing. What role is Darth Vader going to have? So
None.
If you like any of this, hang on, I'm trying to tease to download the podcast. So if you want to hear, now you just gave it away. They don't need. If they tuned in now, they don't need to do it. This is the marketing thing we talked about, Hassan. In order to market the show.
I'll get better. I'll improve.
I would like to make the money.
And we do it for charity.
Yes.
We do it for the people.
We do it for the love of the game.
Power to the people.
Go check us out on iTunes, iTunes.com, or any app playing device, anything that you can get apps on, anything you can get a podcast download on. We are there. We also speak good English occasionally, so
occasionally.
that was pretty good. All right, we're gonna switch gears really quickly here because we're actually closing out the show, and as we three radio guys and a radio engineer who's also a radio guy knows an hour can go by pretty fast. Marvel launches a new Inhumans. It's going to be both a TV show and it's going to be in IMax. The first 2, I guess the pilot episode is going to be in IMax. Mark, what are your thoughts on this? And let me frame it this way: did Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. already ruin Inhumans for you? When it comes to being on the big screen,
I think the fact that Disney doesn't want to play nice with all the other companies ruined the Inhumans for everybody.
Oh, now hang on a second here, because that's actually it's amazing. It's as if you got my show outline, which my $2 patrons can get. So go to our Patreon page, donate $2 or pledge $2 a month, and you can get our show outline. Marvel and Fox actually did play nice in order to have teenage Negasonic Warhead in Deadpool, and Ego the Living Planet is going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. They actually made an agreement. They swapped characters. I'm not sure why Negasonic Teenage Warhead wasn't,
in X-Men.
Right. I'm not sure how that happened, but
that character had like a one panel in one issue from 100 years ago.
But they did actually have to come to some sort of agreement, and this is coming from comicbook.com, where they're reporting that Deadpool, they did that deal. Sony and Marvel did the deal.
Yeah, it was for Spider-Man.
Fox has been talking about it, and they're talking about it from a Fantastic Four point of view. I mean, it could happen in the future. So, rooting it, I think, and I'll get back in a second, but I think Marvel ruined Inhumans just by Agents of Shield doing do you guys feel that? Because this is what I feel. You have Daredevil, you have Jessica Jones, you have Luke Cage. Like that to me is like connected to Avengers. I feel like Agents of Shield is like its own alternate universe.
It's like a tie, basically, when they had those big events that they're there, but they're not really there.
I get no sense of impact. Like anything that's happening on Marvel's Agents of Shield, I feel like is just disconnected from the rest of the Marvel universe. And I feel like if all this stuff is happening, where like on one of the episodes I just watched, he's got a shield that it's like a holographic shield that actually works and it's real. It's like, dude, I mean, like, Daredevil feels like it could be happening right now. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. feels like this should be like 50 years in the future or something like that.
How far are you into season 2? Did they have the crossover with the
last 3 episodes?
Okay, so they had the whole Avengers 2 crossover thing, and that was like
I'm past season 2. I'm in season 3.
Season 3.
Yeah. No, I know.
So that was the behind the scenes. That was them trying to incorporate what they can to the real Marvel Universe world. So did you feel that was also just an afterthought?
I feel like they're just kind of flying by the seat of their pants on that show. And it's funny, like, were you a big Buffy guy? You were a big Buffy guy, right? No, you weren't.
I enjoyed Buffy to an extent.
So I feel like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is like Angel in the first 2 seasons. They didn't really know what they were doing, and they just it's like the rotating cast, and it's not a rotating cast because
I like the first 2 seasons of Angel better than
really
the first 3 seasons.
I think 3, 4, and I thought 3 and 4 were amazing.
I thought season 4 was atrocious.
Really? No, I thought it was really good. Oh, we'll talk about that. We'll have you back on the show.
Completely uneven.
We'll talk about that. No, I thought. Okay. Anyway. But they would continually have a rotating cast in Angel because I feel like they were just kind of like, well, let's see how this chemistry plays out. It's not quite working there. Same thing with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, when it started off, you had a set team of 5 people, and you had Deathlock, which I thought was actually pretty cool, and then they barely used Deathlock, which I didn't understand why. And then you basically just kept having people come in and out, and then they brought the whole Inhumans thing, like, oh, these guys are really Inhumans, and that's really what we're doing. But they're not the Inhumans. Like, they're not based off anybody in the comics. No. And now they're doing a movie based on the actual Inhumans in the comics. So, to me, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. ruined Inhumans.
Well, they got ruined. I mean, they got short-shrifted from pretty much the beginning because it came out with this really bad 90s format with, like really quippy humor and everything was very serious. Like Arrow was serious. Flash was getting, really serious. The Marvel movies were serious. Except for Guardians of the Galaxy, there wasn't anything very tongue-in-cheek about anything. And then there's, kind of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. comes as this kind of throwback to 1996, and it just didn't work. And there was a lot of stuff that they had to do to recreate it and remodel it. Didn't quite, and never really caught a break, and never really caught it. And they didn't put the energy behind it that it needed to. So it's kind of a joke.
I don't disagree with that at all, and I think that they need to kind of get themselves together. But that kind of leads to the next question, though. How are the 2 universes going to interact now? Because it essentially is 2 universes. It's supposed to be one universe, and Marvel's really, really good at tying everything together. But I feel like if now all of a sudden you have Black Bolt and Medusa, I mean, I guess I guess we could be pontificating over something that's just as simple as, hey, we were on the moon the whole time. I mean, it could be as simple as
Jean Grey. Jean Grey was on the moon for the longest time. In X Factor. Then when they need to bring Jean Grey back, I was like, she was on the moon.
Yeah, I mean that's essentially, well, the moon is actually an alien base. I don't know if anybody knows that theory.
Yes.
We could talk about alien.
Yeah, and I believe it is an alien base.
Well, it's very hollow.
I have a cousin from there. And don't think I was supposed to tell anybody about that. But
well. Put your sunglasses back on. What are you doing? Don't let anybody tell me. All right, so another thing that came out, Justice League Dark trailer. Anybody a Justice League Dark person? Anybody a DC person here?
Not really.
Yeah,
I grew up a strict Marvel guy.
Yeah,
I was a
too.
make mine Marvel.
I was too.
Young lad. So
Sam,
I was.
you were a DC guy, right? You were both.
Both. Both liberal. We don't need your.
No. Liberals hate. DC guys hate Marvel. Marvel hate DC. There's no, a liberal. Like,
there's no middle ground.
There's no middle ground. Like a moderate is like an Image Comics fan. Like that. That's what it comes down to.
I have liked the DC movies, the previous DC movies more. No, the recent Zack Snyder extravaganzas have not done much for me. Well, but there are aspects of it. Like I like.
Well, here's actually you bring up a good point, right? And kind of tie into what we talked about before, though, right? I mean, the DC Batman v Superman made $600 million worldwide and was a flop.
Yeah. So, well, according to Mark, though, $600 million means it's legitimized. It's perfectly fine.
No, it's not.
It was a flop because they expected their expectations were too high. Just like. What they had to do with the Spider-Man. You got to do with the Amazing Spider-Man. When they brought out the Amazing Spider-Man, which was a reboot, they just lowered their expectations. And it made more than their lowered expectations and they declared it a hit.
Sure.
That's how you got to work the system.
So do you think, getting back to our Rogue One conversation for a second, do you think that Disney's expectations for any Star Wars movie is too high?
No. I think they have to be kidding themselves if they think they're going to make another $2 billion off of any of the next few movies.
Even the Boba Fett one?
No. If they have a business model based on that, then they're in some kind of trouble. I think that they're a little worried about Rogue One, just because of the lack of publicity that we've seen about it. I remember at this point last year we were on our 6th or 7th trailer for episode 7. So I think they're a little worried about it, and they're trying to underplay it because they suspect that there might be a problem with it. I think their expectations are going to be exceeded. I think it's going to do well just by the sense that it's a Star Wars movie. I actually, unlike what everybody just said here, I actually have high hopes for it. I actually hope I enjoy it.
I have high hopes for it too, actually. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see, I mean, this to me is like classic Star Wars. Seeing the visuals the way that they were done in the original movies. I like seeing the...
But you can see, that's the thing. You saw those movies 30 years ago. How can you want to constantly see the same things again? You want things that are reminiscent of that to an extent, or something that's that has the same DNA. But you don't want to see the same.
No, I don't want to see the same movie. Right? I don't want to see the same.
That's what you're going to see, though.
Well, they're not going to blow the Death Star up. We know that.
Well, yay. Okay. Well, I guess that makes it different.
We got about 2 minutes to go, so I'm going to throw out some questions to you guys real quick. Comic book movie fatigue, do you think it's happening? Is it going to happen? Have we reached that threshold where people are just going to get sick of this stuff?
No.
Yes.